Gildan Media, a division of Recorded Books, presents the AMA Handbook of Project Management, 5th edition, edited by Paul C. Dinsmore, PMP, and Jeanette Cabanas Bruin. Narrated by David Stifel. Forward. In his 2014 foreword to the 4th edition of the AMA Handbook, Dr. David I. Cleland noted that a deluge of books has been written about project management. Since he made this observation, the deluge has grown. In addition to hundreds of books on the subject, we encounter thousands of web entries and tens of thousands of web pages of material. This new 5th edition of the AMA Handbook plays a significant filtering role in identifying the key components of project management thinking and practice today, so that both the project management novice and the old hand can sift through the mountains of material and acquire a good sense of the state of the discipline. As a handbook, the 5th edition addresses the basics of good project management practice, enabling listeners to refresh their insights on the 10 knowledge areas covered by A Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, Schedule Management, Cost Management, Risk Management, and so on, as well as broader essentials, such as managing project portfolios, running a project office, and implementing enterprise project management. But what makes the 5th edition unique is that a significant portion of the handbook covers topics beyond the basics. For example, it describes project management practice in a number of industries not traditionally viewed as being project-oriented, including nonprofits, the helping professions, healthcare, financial services, and digital transformation. It also provides a preview of new directions. Of particular interest here are chapters 24 and 25, which examine the central role project management can play in strategy implementation and strategy execution, respectively. The fascinating perspectives contained in these two chapters show that project management is moving far beyond mastery of PERT charts and earned value, and that it will occupy a central place in the strategic management of organizations. Bottom line, this new edition of the AMA Handbook is useful to both project management novices and experienced practitioners. It provides up-to-date insights on a broad range of practices and also offers a window showing the future direction of our discipline as an increasingly significant contributor to the management of organizations. J. Davidson Frame, Ph.D., PMP, PMI Fellow, Academic Dean, University of Management and Technology, Arlington, Virginia, USA, March 29, 2018. Preface. When the lunar module Eagle landed in the Sea of Tranquility at 13 hours, 19 minutes, 39.9 seconds Eastern Standard Time on July 20, 1969, the event was hailed as one of history's major milestones. It was also one of the most fascinating and significant spin-offs of the U.S. space program and was the development of flexible yet precise organizational structures, forms, and tools that allowed people to work together to reach challenging goals. Out of that grew the modern concept of project management. Since the Apollo days, project management, applicable both to individual endeavors and to a series of projects called programs, has been applied to many new fields of activity. With the trend toward accelerated change, the scope of project management has expanded from construction and aerospace projects to encompass organizational change, research and development, R&D projects, high-tech product development, banking and finance, nonprofit services, environmental remediation. In fact, just about every field of human endeavor. When it first appeared in 1993, this handbook was a major contribution to the field, pulling together expert practitioners to share their advice on topics such as designing adequate organizational structures, generating and maintaining teamwork, and managing the project life cycle. The second edition, released in 2005, was designed to complement and supplement the Project Management Institute's Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMBOK Guide, PMBOK, registered, third edition, and to provide supporting materials for those preparing to take the certification exam or working to maintain their certification. We have retained this feature through the last two editions, updating the chapters in Section 1 to the new standard, the PMBOK Guide 6th edition, in this book. In recognition of the new emphasis on the role of the project manager in the PMBOK Guide, we've renamed Section 2 of the Handbook and grouped chapters that focus on the project manager's career and skills there. As in previous editions, we have retained many of the original authors, keeping those chapters that stand as classics in the field. However, with the pace of change, we have also eliminated a few chapters that had become dated in order to include new developments in the discipline. As a brief overview, the 5th edition changes comprise the following. All of the chapters have had editorial revisions, and most of those that repeat in this edition have been updated by the author or by another expert in the field. 6 chapters are by new authors or co-authors, replacing chapters on the same topics with updated content and a fresh voice. 6 chapters are on new topics, including 2 on the integration of project management and strategic execution, benefits realization management, the special demands of the merger or acquisition environment, digital transformation projects, and a case study of project management in the nonprofit context. Chapter 3 provides an overview of the changes to the PMI standard and was contributed by members of the PMBOK Guide Update team. How to use this book. Students who are taking introductory courses in project management as part of a degree in another field, for example, engineering, information technology, business administration, manufacturing or production management, construction management, and so on, or who are studying for degrees in the field of project management will find the book invaluable. As a complementary and supplementary text, the Handbook does not contain materials already published in the PMBOK Guide, but it is designed to help those studying project management understand and integrate the materials contained in that standard, as well as project management concepts and issues that currently are not included in the PMBOK Guide. One chapter specifically targets those who hope to pursue Project Management Professional (PMP) certification, with study tips and an overview of the certification process. The book targets a broad audience, including not only the traditional project management faithfuls, but also professionals involved in organizational development, research, and other associated fields. The book provides a ready reference for anyone involved in project tasks, including upper management executives, project sponsors, project managers, functional managers, and team members. It addresses those working in any of the major program and project-oriented industries, such as defense, construction, architecture, engineering, product development, systems development, R&D, education, and community development. Whether you are preparing for advancement in the project management field through certification or by completing university courses in the field, this handbook will be a valuable reference. For those using the book in a classroom setting, discussion questions provided at the end of each chapter help students and peers initiate fruitful discussions about concepts, problems, and ideas in their chosen field. Organization of the Handbook. Section 1. The Project Management Body of Knowledge. Comprehension and Practice. This section is designed specifically to aid the listener in learning the basics of project management. Chapters 4 through 18, in fact, correspond to chapters of the PMBOK Guide, 6th edition. This section includes the fundamental knowledge areas and describes the processes required to ensure that projects are brought to successful completion. The organization of the book is specifically designed to raise interest and to lead listeners to further analysis of the project management field. Those preparing for certification are generally studying the field of project management for the first time. Thus, Section 1 introduces the student to the basic accepted practices and principles of project management as practiced within the project. Note that the PMBOK guide does not deal with, and the PMP certification process does not test, concepts of project management that extend beyond the bounds of the individual project. Yet the project manager must survive and thrive within highly competitive business organizations, interacting with other organizations, both within their employer's organization and from other organizations that have an interest or stake in the project. It is anticipated that as students work through the materials in the first section, they will be generating questions concerning these other aspects of project management that clearly fall outside the individual project. For example, the individual's career potential, the expected contributions of projects to the organization, the requirements to manage multiple projects simultaneously, leadership concepts that cut across organizational lines, management of the power structures and conflicts that typically surround projects, and the interaction of projects with other major departments of the organization, such as accounting, finance, and other groups being affected by the results of the project. These broader issues are explored in sections 2 through 5 of the Handbook. Section 2. The Role of the Project Manager. Section 2 covers the professional development of project managers, the skills and aptitudes required to succeed in the field, the opportunities for career advancement, the ethical issues that she might encounter along the way. In addition, we look at the question of how project management compares to other occupations and professions, and offer a guide for those who plan to apply for PMP certification. Section 3. Organizational issues in project management. Even a certified professional cannot escape the realities of organizational life, and increasingly, the role of the project manager catapults the individual out of the single project milieu and into organizational issues, multiple projects, programs, performance measurement, portfolio selection and management, enterprise systems, organizational culture and structure, and alignment with strategy. These areas have become crucial issues in project management. Top professionals and academics with specific expertise in these areas have been sought out to provide tutorials on these topics in Section 3. New in this 5th edition are 2 chapters focusing on the important role that project management can play in implementing corporate strategic plans. Section 4. Issues, Ideas, and Methods in Project Management Practice. Politics, new methodologies and organizational structures, globally diverse teams, breakthrough technologies, agile, and sustainability. Section 4 brings together writers on some of the leading-edge topics in project management. One thing that is certain about project management: it is not going to remain static for another 10 years or even 10 months. The chapters in this section provide a glimpse of where the discipline and the organizations in which it is practiced may be heading. One of the practices that many research studies have indicated is lacking is benefits realization management, and we include a chapter demystifying this practice for the first time in this handbook. Section 5. Industry Applications of Project Management Practice. With the growth of project management in all industry sectors, this section of the book could be 100 chapters long. It was difficult to limit it to a handful of industries. As professionals, the students will need to understand how the basic accepted concepts of project management must be adapted to the environments found in different industries and professions. Section 5 identifies a number of specific industries, technologies, and specialty areas in which project management is widely used and recognized, and examines the differing priorities of the project manager in each of these different venues. The overall thrust of this section is to demonstrate that the basic concepts of project management apply universally across these venues, even though the specific concepts and ideas may have different priorities and influences on project management practices in each venue. New to this section in the 5th edition are chapters on project management in digital transformation and in mergers and acquisitions. Because the chapter on nonprofit projects has proved to be one of the most sought after by listeners, sparking many conversations on LinkedIn with the editors, we have added a second chapter featuring a nonprofit case study. Finally, the chapter offering lessons from two of the most mature industries, engineering and construction, has had a major update. Paul C. Dinsmore, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Jeanette Cabanas Bruin, Cullowhee, North Carolina. Section 1. The Project Management Body of Knowledge, Comprehension and Practice. Introduction. Foundational Project Management Knowledge. Serious students and practitioners of project management are already familiar with the PMBOK Guide, the professional standard published by the Project Management Institute, PMI. This document provides the foundation for the study and practice of project management. Yet project management knowledge and practices evolve over the years, and as they evolve, the standard must be updated to reflect current practice and to help mold the future of the discipline. With the 6th edition update, PMI has sought to provide increased clarity on processes and inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. Changes to the 6th edition include greater focus on agile and adaptive methodologies, benefits management, and knowledge management. Like most standards, it is both detailed and high-level. That is to say, knowledge areas and process groups in the PMBOK Guide are described in as much detail as possible when creating a document that, by definition, must apply to all projects in all fields of endeavor. But the guide, while of tremendous value in describing the parameters of the field, was never intended as a step-by-step manual for running a project. Instead, it functions more as an ideal vision of project management. Chapter 1 offers an overview of project management, its history and working parts. Chapters 2 to 18 are designed to help you take the fundamentals of project management one step further into the sunlight. Respected expert practitioners discuss the processes and knowledge areas that, rather than reiterating what you can hear in the PMBOK Guide, will help you to apply the standards and principles of the profession. Chapter 2 provides an overview of the bodies of knowledge about project management that have been amassed by various professional societies worldwide, while Chapter 3 discusses the changes that have been made to the PMI standard with the release of the new 6th edition. Chapters 4 to 8 discuss the processes that make up project management: initiating, planning, monitoring, and controlling, and closing each receive a full chapter of coverage. Chapters 9 to 18 cover the 10 knowledge areas accepted as the basis of project management. Finally, all chapters in this section have been reviewed either by the author or by another knowledgeable party for compliance with the newest version of the PMI standard, a guide to the project management body of knowledge, 6th edition. For professionals in search of formal certification through PMI, additional qualifications, readings, and studies are required, as outlined in PMI's site, www.pmi.org. Chapter 1. What is project management? Project Management Concepts and Methodologies. Joan Knutson, PMP, Francis M. Webster, Jr., Ph.D. What do Wall Street and Main Street have in common? Both measure success relative to speed, quality, and teamwork. Growing behemoths and smaller emerging concerns tout project management as a vehicle to success. They use project management to plan and manage enterprise initiatives that generate revenue or contain costs. Those who compete to sell products or services use project management to differentiate themselves by creating a product of higher quality than that of their competitors and getting it to market sooner. Project management is recognized as a necessary discipline within corporations and governmental agencies. The planning, organizing, and tracking of projects are recognized as core competencies by for-profit and non-profit organizations of any size. Projects are mini-enterprises, and each project is a crucial microcosm of any business or organization. You may not be an entrepreneur, but as a project manager, you are an intrapreneur. Think about it. Projects consume money and create benefits. Consider the percentage of your organization's dollars that are invested in projects and the amount of your organization's bottom line generated through projects. Projects, the work. Pharmaceuticals, aerospace, construction, and information technology are industries that operate on a project basis, and all are notable for developments that have changed the way we live and work. But not all projects are of such magnitude. A community fundraising or political campaign, the development of a new product, creating an advertising program, and training the sales and support staff to service a product effectively are also projects. Indeed, it is probable that most executives spend more of their time planning and monitoring changes in their organizations, that is, projects, than they do in maintaining the status quo. All of these descriptions focus on a few key notions. Projects involve change, the creation of something new or different, and they have a beginning and an ending. Indeed, these are the characteristics of a project that are embodied in the definition of project found in A Guide to the Project Body of Knowledge, PMBOK Guide, 6th edition, published by the Project Management Institute, PMI. A temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. This definition, although useful to project managers, may not be sufficient to distinguish projects from other undertakings. Understanding some of the characteristics of projects and comparing projects to other types of undertakings may give a clearer perspective. Some characteristics of projects. Projects are unique undertakings that result in a single unit of output. The installation of an entertainment center by a homeowner with the help of a few friends is a project. The objective is to complete the installation and enjoy the product of the effort. It is a unique undertaking because the homeowner is not likely to repeat this process frequently. Projects are composed of interdependent activities. Projects are made up of activities. Consistent with the definition of a project, an activity has a beginning and an end. Activities are interrelated in one of three possible ways. In some situations, one activity must be completed before another can begin. Generally, these mandatory relationships are difficult to violate, or to do so just does not make sense. The relationship of other activities is not as obvious or as restrictive. These more discretionary interdependencies are based on the preferences of the people developing the plan. Some activities are dependent on some external event, such as receiving the materials from the vendor. In any of these three instances, mandatory, discretionary, or external, activities have a relationship one to another. Projects create a quality deliverable. Each project creates its own deliverables, which must meet standards of performance criteria. That is, each deliverable from every project must be quality controlled. If the deliverable does not meet its quantifiable quality criteria, that project cannot be considered complete. Projects involve multiple resources, both human and non-human, which require close coordination. Generally, there are a variety of resources, each with its own unique technologies, skills, and traits. This aspect in human resources leads to an inherent characteristic of projects: conflict. There is conflict among resources as to their concepts, approaches, theories, techniques, and so on. In addition, there is conflict for resources as to quantity, timing, and specific assignments. Thus, a project manager must be skilled in managing such conflicts. Projects are not synonymous with the products of the project. For some people, the word project refers to the planning and controlling of the effort. For others, it means the unique activities required to create the product of the project. This is not a trivial distinction, as both entities have characteristics specific to themselves. The names of some of these characteristics apply to both. For example, the life cycle cost of a product includes the cost of creating it, a project, the cost of operating it, not a project, the cost of major repairs or refurbishing, typically done as new projects, and the cost of dismantling it, often a project if done at all. The project cost of creating the product is generally a relatively small proportion of the life cycle cost of the product. Projects are driven by competing constraints. These competing constraints represent a balance of scope, quality, schedule, budget, resources, and risks, among other factors. One of these constraints is the driving or gating factor of each project. Different projects may be driven by a different constraint, depending on the emphasis established by management. Being first in the market often determines long-term market position, thus creating time pressure as the major driver. Most projects require the investment of considerable money and labor before the benefits of the resulting product can be enjoyed. Thus, containing resource expenditures may be the driving factor. A need exists for the resulting product of the project to be of the highest quality, as for example, with a new system within the healthcare industry. In summary, projects consist of activities which have interrelationships among one another, produce quality-approved deliverables, and involve multiple resources. Projects are not synonymous with products. During the life cycle of any product, the concept of project management is used, whereas at other times, product or operations management is appropriate. Finally, how projects are managed is determined by which of the competing project constraints is the driving force. A crucial factor that influences project work. As one of the characteristics before stated, the work to create the product, the development life cycle, and the work to manage the project that creates the product are different. However, a project life cycle often integrates work efforts to accomplish both. A development life cycle defines the activities to create the product, while the project life cycle not only consists of the development life cycle, but also designates other activities to plan and control work being performed to create the product. The work efforts related to creating the product might be design it, build it, quality assure it, and ship it, whereas the processes to manage the project might be initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. The activities to create the product are specific to the industry and to the product being created. In other words, the pharmaceutical product life cycle is very different from the software development life cycle. Yet the other activities to plan and control work being performed could be used to organize and monitor either the pharmaceutical or the software product creation. Different approaches to conducting a project life cycle. There are two different approaches.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?